Good afternoon. Welcome to the Physical Development Committee meeting. Today is March the 10th, 2026, 3 o'clock. We're so thankful for all of you that are here, also the staff members that are here, as well as all those watching us on all the different media streams. First, we'll have informational items, a minute for planning.
Dr. Wilder, a few items that may be of interest to the committee that were recently submitted to our city's technical review committee. Liberty University has submitted a conditional use permit to allow dormitory use, the continued dormitory use at 3839 Murray Place and 3436 Oddfellows Road, as well as a couple of additional housing units there. Belvac Machinery has submitted a rezoning application to rezone about a third of an acre from I-2 light industrial to B3 community business to allow the use of an existing structure at 205 Graves Mill as an office facility. A site plan proposing the construction of an 8,000 square foot warehouse on 121 Chapel Lane has been submitted. Chief Investments has submitted a site plan proposing the construction of a 900 square foot automobile dealership building and associated improvements at 4,000 Peace Street. A site plan proposing the redevelopment of the White Rock Elementary School into the community hub that council has been hearing about at 400 Buena Vista Street has been submitted. And the Lynchburg Redevelopment and Housing Authority has submitted a site plan proposing the redevelopment of 60 units in their Darrington apartment complex.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions? Thank you. Councilmember Ms. Dimmer just came in. Do you have any comments or questions? I know it's getting in. Yeah.
No comments.
Okay. Any comments? Thank you for the information. I appreciate that so much.
Thank you.
Next, we have an overview of the neighborhood projects. Who's doing that? This staff member's doing that. I'm sorry.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you for having me here. I just want to give a quick overview of two projects that we at the PDC are fortunate to be partnering with the City of Lynchburg and GLTC. The one is the There we go. The multimodal plan. This is a plan that is being led by the PDC, where we receive funding through DRPT, VDOT, our federal highway and FTA program. Again, to look at advancing alternative transportation connections within the city of Lynchburg, with a focus on creating those good connections to the transit system. This plan has been done again in concert with the city of Lynchburg and GLTC, and no funds from this project were funded directly by the city. And the plan really involves a very GIS-focused evaluation that looked at connectivity and access and demand and usage, where people want to go, and then what are the existing locations, where schools are. Again, very GIS focused. The consultant that we had was Timmons Group, and again, the prioritization looking at connectivity and access and demand and uses was developed in concert again with the city staff and GLTC partners. And we had a good stakeholder group that is included Lynchburg Redevelopment Housing Authority, Centra, and some other partnerships as we came up with this evaluation metric. Oh, golly. I'm sorry about that. So the draft network that the plan looks at, with the red lines being those corridors that are the core of the spine network, those key roads where the long term would look at prioritizing having bicycle and pedestrian connections. The secondary connectors would be bicycle or pedestrian, and those neighborhood fill-ins would be primarily pedestrian access. And this is in a draft form. We will have the draft multimodal plan ready for staff review here in the next week. And it's pretty exciting. And I think it just is a real credit to Lynchburg City and the staff and the PDC that our consultant submitted this project to the APA conference that'll be held in Danville, where it was very competitive, where the theme this year is high stakes and new horizon planning with purpose in Virginia communities. And the project that'll be submitted in Timmons Group is for analysis to action, a data-driven multimodal strategy for Lynchburg's future. So we'll be presenting this project in concert with the next project that I'll talk about here in a second. So we look forward to coming back with you in the coming months on what this project is, the final and the draft plans and the recommendations. And then we have the Thriving Communities Program. This is another project that the PDC was the applicant. But we couldn't have been able to apply without Lynchburg and GLTC as a partner. We were one of 52 awardees across the country, one of 2 in the state of Virginia. It provides 3 years of technical assistance through consultants. It has a value of about $250,000 of technical assistance, and that's just in technical assistance over the 3-year period from 2024 to 2026. And the scope that the work projects that were developed, we submitted to USDOT. It's looking at a 12th Street corridor revitalization roadmap. It's looking at policy development for transit-oriented development with a real focus on looking on the opportunities along 12th Street and how that redevelopment that supports the city's goals and comprehensive goals at the Kemper Street, 12th Street, where the old GLTC administration office used to be. The roadmap will come with funding and grant playbook. And then lastly, this through the PDC, we received a direct $50,000 cash award that will go to Timmons Group, the same consultant doing the multimodal plan, to develop an engineering design on 12th Street from Pope to Kemper. And that, again, was a real credit to Lynchburg City staff in recognizing that the city was already doing some infrastructure work along 12th Street, and an opportunity to get engineering design work, which is quite expensive to pay for, and then being able to really be able to implement some improvements along this project. So obviously this is being led in concert and leadership through Lynchburg City staff, and we'll look forward to bringing more to you as we move through the last year of this project that concludes in December of 26. And I'm happy to answer any questions. And once again, this project did not cost direct dollars from Lynchburg City, but obviously the great time that the city staff puts in it has, value and cost associated.
Excellent. Thank you. Questions?
Yeah, quick, thank you for the presentation, Kelly. It's great. The explanation of what a pedestrian refuge is.
Yeah, that is a place sometimes in roads. It's an island that is in the middle of the road, and it allows someone to cross to rest in the middle of the roadway, and that way the pedestrian is just having to look one way. Apparently I'm in England all of a sudden because I'm looking this way first versus this way. I'm dreaming of being in England. And then, so they're just looking one way. They can rest and then look the other way and cross. So that's what a pedestrian refuge, and you've seen them, and it's a safety location.
Yeah.
And another facility that's being looked at are bulb outs, and that's sort of extending the sidewalk to have a place where the pedestrians can get a little further equal to where parked cars are. So then they have a better view. So they're not sort of coming out beyond parked cars. And so all of these type of facilities will be looked at and designed, again, through the review and concert with city staff.
Thank you.
Excellent. Any questions? No. Okay, thank you for this presentation. Really nice, especially with being on 12th Street with so much traffic, with two schools there. We definitely need some calming, especially when you come up right by Payne School, and you can't really see that well. So it's important to have some calming on that street. So I really appreciate that. And also the other area, it just really makes our community a better place to live, work, and play. So I appreciate that. I want to commend the staff for reaching out and finding those grants to bring into our community to make our community better. So that's amazing. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we're going to have the comprehensive plan update.
Hello again. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the committee, Mr. Vice Mayor as well. Good afternoon. I'm here to discuss some of the emerging themes in our comprehensive plan update process. There we go. Starting with a little bit of background to refresh our memories. I know we've all heard this pitch before, but we've been working on this plan with the Planning Commission and the community in earnest for about 2 years now. So just to go over the basics, the what, why, and how. Our comprehensive plan is a higher level planning document that provides long-range policy direction. It's our goal that the plan articulates the community's vision for where we want to be in the next 20 plus years and includes strategies to achieve that vision. And once adopted, the plan is used as a decision-making guide for changes to our natural and built environment. The plan is also our foundation for regulatory tools like our zoning ordinance and subdivision ordinance. And while the plan itself is not code, it serves as, again, the basis for those things. And we update the plan because, for starters, state code says we have to. The city's authority and responsibility to develop the plan come from state code, which dictates much of what goes into the plan and the adoption process and what must be reviewed and when should it be updated. Of course, more importantly, it's more than just meeting a state requirement. It's because we update the plan because a community is not static. They can change over time and goals may change as well. So the process is broken down into 3 phases, starting with the initial phase of community input and data gathering, which is where we hear from the public, community partners, stakeholders, institutions, et cetera. We take that information from the first phase and move into plan drafting, where we capture what we learned and put it into chapter form. This looks like the shortest phase up there, phase 2 in gray, drafting. But it is actually the longest. This is where we're kind of putting pen to paper to capture that community input and, capture, again, what the community told us as far as where we need to be heading. And this is where we are now. Once all the chapters have been drafted and reviewed, then we move into kind of the refining phase, which is another round of community feedback on the final draft, review by VDOT, which is, again, required by state code, and public hearings with Planning Commission and Council, leading up to adoption of the plan. And credit where credit is due to our Planning Commission members for working hard with us on this process. Shout out for them putting in the work to get us to this point, as well as the the upcoming steps as we near the finish line later this year. So going over kind of the themes throughout our community input process, we've heard the things that you would expect to hear. Our community wants us to invest in public safety, infrastructure, schools, and it's evident that council shares some of these values areas as well because of the recent investments in the new LPD facility, the financial commitments council has made towards schools maintenance, numerous utility and road projects through our CIP. Some of the other areas I want to highlight today are mobility, housing, economic development, and quality of life. These are all closely connected. There's overlap between some of them. As Margette Upshur tells me, there's everything is economic development. So the mobility and connectivity, a lot of it ties in with the things that Ms. Hitchcock with CVPDC just mentioned, as well as through our last PDC meeting where we went over the Central Virginia Safety Action Plan, which council adopted last month, as well as the things that she was just describing through the multimodal plan. We heard that we need to improve safety for all road users, all transportation users as well. With the goal of creating a seamless transportation system by connecting and integrating our roads, transit, bicycle, and pedestrian infrastructure to allow people to move safely and efficiently. These day-to-day trips also tie in with our regional transportation like Amtrak and the Lynchburg Regional Airport, and our residents want us to kind of bring all that together to make our network stronger. And we also heard input on the flow of our road network, which is kind of our primary form of transportation infrastructure as it relates to the movement of people and goods, connects our neighborhoods, businesses, and recreational spaces. Public input revealed that overall people feel pretty positively about the city's road network. They feel it's adequate. There may be some key corridors where they would like to see improvements for safety and capacity. Key corridors being those that are higher traffic volume and facilitate kind of north, south, east, west movements across the city. These factors make those focal points for development and transportation planning. So based on that, the plan recommends targeting higher crash and traffic areas for, as priorities for analysis and investment, as well as continuing to develop that integrated transportation network that improves safety for everyone. One of the benefits of improving our transportation system for all users is that it allows people to have choices when it comes to how they move around the city. Having a network that allows multiple modes of transportation makes us less reliant on one form. For example, where we have areas with gaps in the sidewalk network, such as this area near Langhorne and Memorial. Those gaps make it not a viable form for a lot of people to get around. You could step in the road maybe, but it may not be safe. People may have, mobility issues that make it hard to get on and off a sidewalk if there's no ramp. But if we can bridge those gaps and make those connections, that would allow people living in the Darrington neighborhood to access the commercial uses on Memorial and Langhorne roads where they may shop, or even the hospital where they could be employed. This also holds true for our vehicular, bike, and transit infrastructure. Most single-family homes make several trips per day, as many as 7 to a dozen trips. The more options people have, the healthier the transportation network, because it allows some of these trips to be spread out over various methods. If people choose to move around the city, whether it's car, bike, on foot, or other means, and that puts less strain and pressure on our road network, which is a good thing. And lastly, we should continue to evaluate our existing corridors and implement safety improvements as needed, such as traffic calming measures mentioned just on 12th Street, or things like these driver feedback signs seen here on Enterprise Drive. Moving on to housing, we've heard a bit throughout this process of, regarding our zoning and our housing types. And one thing that emerged is a lack of a missing middle housing. Missing middle means the gap between lower density single family and higher density uses like apartments. Duplexes, triplexes, quadplexes, row homes. These things, are present in our city, but they are not a type of development we see very often, but they could be very useful. We also receive feedback on our setbacks and lot size standards. These can make it difficult to provide some of those missing middle housing types. And we also heard from the community about opportunities to promote infill development that the city could capitalize on. Based on, oh, I'm ahead of myself. Based on that, the plan recommends evaluating zoning districts to ensure that the appropriate types of dwellings are permitted where they should be. Identify barriers to the infill development and build in flexibility. We have some of this in our zoning ordinance where we allow decreased setbacks to match an existing neighborhood. This is a suggestion to kind of evaluate that further and see if there's other ways to facilitate redevelopment to permit appropriately scaled new construction in our existing neighborhoods. And we've heard from council, the concerns about some of these larger, newer residential developments like higher density apartments, that sort of thing, and the impact they can have on our infrastructure, our transportation network. So, this is one way where we could kind of spread some of that impact throughout the city instead of putting it all in one place. How can we kind of promote this infill to make sure this is kind of dispersed? And this should allow the city to continue to grow while balancing the creation of workforce housing and protecting our existing neighborhoods. And so again, we call these things missing middle, but we do have examples of these housing types. They're mostly in our older parts of the city. Our zoning ordinance does not permit most of these by right, except in our R4 district, which is our highest density district. So you have the option in those districts to do higher density apartments. So naturally, there's not really an incentive for a developer to create these kind of housing types when they could go, with a denser option and make it more economically helpful for them. One of the biggest takeaways is our zoning ordinance has, it's kind of 0 to 60 very quickly in terms of, we have 4 residential zonings. They start at a very low density, incrementally increase a little bit, and then R4 jumps up really quickly. So how can we kind of promote this to fill that gap between the very low density and the high density?
Is that what you call the missing middle?
Right. Yes. Whoop. Okay. There we go. And I mentioned, we'd like to facilitate these for workforce housing. Workforce meaning the workers that are essential to staff or regions, institutions, and amenities like teachers, emergency personnel, nurses, utility workers, et cetera. And I know that council has been also concerned about homeownership. When we say workforce housing, that doesn't necessarily mean just rental units. It is possible to own half of a duplex or a row home or a condo in a 6-unit building. Infill development is another area of opportunity for us. This is the development of residential housing on existing lots that are either vacant or underutilized in our existing neighborhoods. This is an example in College Hill. In just a couple of blocks, you can see there's several vacant lots that could be potentially infilled with new homes. And the great part about infill is that the infrastructure is already there. The street, the utilities, they're already in place. This lowers development costs. And, it's a good thing all around. A more detailed example here is when we see on Smith Street. This is in the Deerington neighborhood. 5 years ago, this was a vacant lot, and they were able to subdivide it. So it went from something that was not contributing very much to the neighborhood other than some empty space. Now the owner, was able to build 2 new homes, bringing some investment and kind of new life into this neighborhood. And as you can see, the assessed value dramatically increases. Moving on to economic development, factors like housing, quality of life, education, transportation, all tie into our economic development. Because if you foster a place where people want to live, that is attractive to employers who are looking to remain, expand, or locate in Lynchburg. Lynchburg is competing with many other localities for both residents and for businesses. So the more attractive we can be, the better. So the plan recommends continuing to improve our site readiness to reduce barriers for new industrial facilities to be located, and attracting and supporting businesses in Lynchburg through the strategic use of our EDA and various incentives. Mixed-use redevelopment, for example, we see here on Bedford Ave is another economic development strategy. And again, it also ties in with our mobility. Promoting vibrant corridors and creating attractive and convenient places for people to live and access to commercial and jobs strengthens our community. It's another way we can lessen the strain on our transportation network, because if we locate people where they live, near where they want to go or need to go, that is a shorter trip for them, and they may not have to get in a car, or it, again, is a shorter trip than driving all the way across town or to the county. Proximity to light commercial like this is becoming increasingly desirable for those searching for a place to live for multiple reasons. It's convenient. People enjoy being close to the places that meet their needs. That doesn't mean mixed use or, commercial is appropriate on every street in every neighborhood. It depends highly on context, and generally you would want to see this on something like a higher level road, not a connector, needs to be a connector, not a cul-de-sac or something that doesn't connect back. We also see here the Ivy Creek Innovation Park pad sites, more examples of increasing our site readiness to have these places kind of ready to go when we have an interested employer. The plan also gives us an opportunity to evaluate our land use decisions and the relationship between future land use zoning and our key transportation corridors in relation to programs like the enterprise zone. Margette and her team evaluate the enterprise zones closely to make sure they're applied to areas with appropriate zoning. And we're taking this opportunity during this process to make sure the future land use map is also aligning with that, as well as the other planning framework. And quality of life, I think this permeates all other categories as well. Residents highly value our community's natural resources and recreation spaces. And generally, people feel that access to parks and recreation is incredibly important to our community health. They play a role in shaping our quality of life through our clean water, air, as well as recreational areas that contribute to our physical and mental health and present opportunities for tourism as well. So sports tourism really represents an opportunity to capitalize on investments that benefit both the health of our residents and benefit our local economy. Investment in these facilities supports larger scale sports events and boosts Lynchburg profile in hosting regional and national events. An example of this that's already kind of in the works is the Peaks to Creeks Trail. This connects residents to an employment center via trail connection between the Clemens Lake, located in the Ivy Creek Innovation Park, and Peaksview Park. It also presents the opportunity to incorporate disc golf, which has been an increasingly important part of our regional sports tourism. Other potential opportunities exist through sports complexes. While the city has a lot of great fields and facilities, many of them do not meet the need to attract larger tournaments. So in planning for the future, we should consider if and where these events to serve these venues to serve larger events could be located. In summary, continued investment in parks and recreation should be seen as a direct investment in community health and wellness and our local economy. Looking ahead, we'll be scheduling and completing the last Planning Commission work session soon, with a goal of coming back through public hearings for Planning Commission and City Council this fall.
Thank you. This is amazing. Any questions? Any questions? Thank you for the presentation. It's good to see so many things happening in our community. Some of it we can get so bogged down in so many other things, but we got to make sure we have a good quality of life for our community, from the trails to the landscapes to the walking paths and all the other amenities that we have in our community. It makes a great place to live. So thank you for that presentation. Thank you. Next is the general business, the sale of 147 Mill Ridge Road.
Margette Upshur is on her way up. Just for the committee members, this item will come before you for a vote this evening. It is a public hearing, so while this is listed under general business, because we don't want you to get ahead of the residents, we don't need you to take a vote on this in committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Upshur.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Councilmember Wilder, who's serving as chair of the Physical Development Committee. So the item before you today, as the Deputy City Manager said, is the proposed sale of city-owned property located at 147. Let's see here. Let's go. Do I have? My bad. I had a presentation. Good job. I'm always terrified. Mill Ridge Road. And this is operated as the Business Development Center since 1989. Go team. Thank you. And before walking through the proposal, I want to acknowledge the staff and the board members which you appoint at the Business Development Center, as well as the businesses themselves, for what the center has done over the years and the role the facility has played in supporting small business in Lynchburg. We've been working side by side with them to help this transition be as painless as possible. So staff is recommending that following the required public hearing later this evening, that council authorize the city manager to execute a contract for sale of the property at 147 Mill Ridge. So the property background is, whoopsie, boy, oh boy, this was my nightmare. I was going to get Greg to do it for me. Okay. No, I got it. I'm just going to be a steady trigger here. So the property was acquired in 1988 with funds from the Fed Economic Development Administration, and the city matched those funds. We were going through a downturn in the economy, and there were programs available out there, and this was one of them. Was in all my dealings with the Economic Development Administration, they want you to put a building up more than anything. It's really interesting, right? So the city partnered and built the Business Development Center. It's on approximately 5 acres, 42,250 square feet, and it's industrial. It's zoned industrial. So it's been a small business incubator supporting entrepreneurship. And over time, that model, as in many places across the country in my research, has fallen to primarily below market lease space. And so we went through an RFP process in December of 2025. And that was for 30 days. And we received one proposal from Framatome Inc. And that proposal was evaluated based on purchase price, reinvestment in the property, and economic impact. So this is the Business Development Center today. And I just want to elaborate a little bit in that this discussion has been had by council in years past as things age out, to look at different models for how entrepreneurship and the need for actual physical space. As you all probably know, there are folks out there right now that have co-working spaces that are independent, private-owned businesses that do that for a living, provide space to small businesses. So the landscape has changed significantly. So this is the proposal. Framatome proposes to redevelop the facility to support the continued expansion of its Lynchburg operations. The proposed project includes office and administrative space, light manufacturing space, workforce training areas, research and development space. And Framatome has offered $2 million for the property and plans to invest approximately $6 million in the renovations and site improvements. And I'm sure, as many of you know, Framatome has operated in the city of Lynchburg for more than 50 years. They remain one of the city's largest employers and taxpayers. And according to the company's proposal, the redeveloped facility is expected to accommodate between 40 to 80 employees, including permanent staff and visiting personnel supporting training and technical operations. The project supports the continued expansion of Framatome's Lynchburg operations and strengthens the city's role in advanced nuclear energy and manufacturing sector. And if you look here, you'll see why this might be of interest to them. 155 Mill Ridge is Framatome's, if any of you attended the ribbon cutting out there, the redevelopment of their existing building there, which they have absolutely transformed. is butts right up against the boundaries of the Business Development Center. So I'm sure you're interested in the tenant transition. And because the building has been leased to multiple small businesses over time, I've worked really closely with the Business Development Center Board, as I've told you, and the tenants throughout the transition. Tenants were notified consistent with the terms of their leases. Their leases are supposed to be 1 year and then reviewed after the end of 1 year. Current incubation practices now are 3 years tops for a business. And so staff has met both individually with the businesses. I continue to meet with them. A lot of them are, one person owner of the business. So I make myself available when it's convenient for them to assist with relocation options and introductions to available commercial space. The city, as well as the EDA, has Caldwell Banker as their commercial realtor consultants, and they have actually come on site, and we've looked at various spaces that were available, and they are available. We're not forcing anybody to use them, but they're available to anybody that wants that. We've also had a wonderful thing that the United Way in its building has additional space, and they have offered to lease space to some of these businesses as well, not as a United Way thing, but as business, meaning that it helps them and it would help the small businesses. So several businesses have already secured new locations. Of course, I'm working day and night to make sure those new locations are in the boundaries of the city of Lynchburg. And we will continue to assist them throughout this process. So I am happy to answer any questions, but in summary, the proposal represents redevelopment of a city-owned property through significant private investment while supporting the continued growth of one of Lynchburg's major employers.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Are there any questions? Questions?
I got
Go
one.
ahead. Yes, sir. Mayor.
Has anybody had to close their business because of this?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. They all found somewhere to go.
Well, they probably haven't all yet because they have until June 30th. But I haven't heard of anybody having to close their business. And if they did, I would counsel them, as well as the business development staff would do the same thing.
Okay. Thank you.
Other question. Is the business development staff, is that city staff or is that something?
No, that is a 501c3. It's a separate organization that was set up to handle the center, and you all appoint the board that they have there.
So would that dissolve the whole
I
project?
think
there?
we're
Because
working with Matt right now to look at it. I really haven't received, I've asked the staff and the executive director, to give me what they, what they're thinking about moving forward. But pretty much the building right now is supported by the rent that is paid on those, for those small businesses. So the city has given that building to that nonprofit to run at $1 a year. And then the city, this fabulous crew in Public Works, is responsible for all of the maintenance of that building as well. Yeah.
So do we have any obligations to the staff since it's a separate 501c? So we have.
It's a
obligation
separate
to staff.
501c3. So the way I like to look at it is that, Framatome is making a proposal for something that makes incredible sense location-wise to them and expansion-wise, and they're also moving 20 employees from Campbell County, which is an especially happy day for me. Just anyway. And then there is the nonprofit, which subleases to all the tenants. And then there is the city, who actually owns the building. So we are all working there with Framatome, relying on council for the approval and the public hearing tonight, but the other two entities, working together to figure out what is next. Because we also, I'm sure you are all aware, there is a Center for Entrepreneurship at the Lynchburg Regional Business Alliance that actually has some space, right? But not a tremendous amount of space. But they also house the Small Business Development Center, which sounds like a physical entity, but it is actually staff that provides the federal, state, and local counseling for entrepreneurs.
Yeah. This is
So-
SBA loans, is that?
Yes,
Yes.
all of that is there. So the
Okay.
SBA,
Mhm.
the SBA and the SBDC are located at the Lynchburg Regional Business Alliance.
Is SCORE also, is SCORE still in existence?
SCORE
Okay.
is still at the Business Development Center, and they have gone to virtual
Virtual.
meetings pretty much.
Okay.
And so the services provided to entrepreneurs, a large percentage of those are provided by the SBDC. And as you all know, we have programs like Co-Starters,
Yep.
and we've been doing that. This is our 10th year anniversary for doing Co-Starters. So the city is certainly still investing in entrepreneurs,
Small
all
business.
entrepreneurs.
Great information. This last question, was this put up to bid, or how's that work? Was a building, since we're selling the building, was it put up for a bid?
Yeah,
for the
it
other
was an
persons?
RFP, a request for proposals. So we put the building out as required for 30 days so that the public knew that the building was available.
Yeah. So other
Yes,
persons know
absolutely.
that
We followed all of the,
procedure.
yes,
other-
procurement procedures.
The other person had opportunities to bid if they wanted to.
Yes, sir.
Great. Thank you. Any other questions for this project? I think it's amazing. I'm glad to see the company continue to expand in Lynchburg, keep their footprint, continue to grow. So it's so amazing. I went to the dedication of the other facility, the new facility, and I had no idea they were building that. I mean, I'd heard, but I hadn't been there. So, and when I drove up there, I was amazed. So
It is
beautiful facility.
absolutely beautiful.
So no other questions? Thank you. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Next is roll call. Any roll call items? Yeah, no items. I do not have any items. Thank you so much. Thank you, team, for City for this and all the persons that came and those watching on the different media streams. I guess our next regular meeting is in April, I guess. I don't know have that date here. April 14th. Okay, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Praise the Lord, everyone. Welcome to our March 10th, 2026 work session. I will now turn you over to Mr. City Manager for an overview of our agenda.
Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of City Council. This afternoon, we have a few business item briefings, which are those topics that we try to bring ahead of time so that you can get an understanding and that when there's a subsequent vote, you're ready for it. So we have a couple of those here this afternoon. Under a work session, I'll highlight this DC-8 briefing. There's an opportunity to partner with Liberty University about an airplane. We have representatives here from the university. We also have our airport director. I will acknowledge that the president, chancellor, and provost, they themselves send their best. They too would have been here, but there's an event this evening that they had to be a part of. There's a couple roll call items and then also a few closed session items. Mayor, before I turn it back to you, I may take just a minute here to acknowledge and congratulate Alicia Finney Andrews on her nuptials. And so congratulations, Alicia, and welcome back. And wonderful. So I got it right. So I was been saying a different kind of amount. So with that, Mayor, thank you for that opportunity, and back to you.
Yes, sir. First item, 609 Dunbar Drive, 612 12th Street, future land use map, amendment and rezoning for apartments. Ms. Rachel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council. The purpose of this petition is to amend the future land use map from neighborhood commercial to downtown and to rezone approximately 21 hundredths of an acre at 609 Dunbar and 612 12th Street from B5 general business to B4 urban commercial to allow 2 existing warehouses to be redeveloped into approximately 28 apartment units. Our comprehensive plan recommends neighborhood commercial uses currently. These areas are intended to consist primarily of office, retail, personal service, and restaurant uses. The petition proposes to amend this to the downtown designation. Downtown is our central commercial core and therefore contains a mix of residential, retail, entertainment, restaurant, employment, public, and other uses. These areas should retain the urban character and adaptive reuse of these structures, historic structures, is appropriate in these areas. The subject property was annexed into the city in 1870. The existing B5 General Business District zoning was established in 1978. The property at 612 12th Street currently contains a 4-story, 8,500 square foot warehouse, and the property at 609 Dunbar contains a 4-story, 11,500 square foot warehouse. Both buildings were constructed in 1845. If the petition is approved, the buildings would be redeveloped into 28 apartment units. The petitioner plans to provide 28 parking spaces at 612 Dunbar Drive. The proposed development is permitted in the proposed B4 district and would agree with the proposed future land use map amendment. The rezoning facilitates the adaptive reuse of an existing building while preserving an industrial building's historic character and improving a gateway into downtown. Planning Commission will hold a public hearing tomorrow, March 11th, for this item, and it would return for City Council action on April 14th.
Any comment? Any discussion? Dr. Wallace?
Yes, thank you. Appreciate it. I'm trying to see, where is that parking going? I'm trying to see, is that behind the building?
Yeah.
So the parking is across Dunbar Drive I think currently a vacant lot.
Okay, in the lot part, okay. It's kind of tight for the parking right there. It is with the other
Yeah.
apartment building. Oh,
Yes.
yeah, so it's so tight there already, okay. Thank you, appreciate it.
I got one comment. This building here was the old hospital during the Civil War here in Lynchburg. A little history.
That's awesome. And they do plan to use state and federal historic tax credits. So the historical integrity should be maintained.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, 271 Riverside Drive, conditional use permit for group home.
Thank you again, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council. The purpose of this conditional use permit petition is to allow the use of an existing residential dwelling as a group home for up to 8 individuals in an R2 low-medium density residential district. Our future land use map currently recommends low-density residential uses for the property. These are dominated by single-family detached housing, and in addition to residential uses, they may include public and institutional uses compatible in scale with single-family residential homes. The property is zoned R2, low medium density residential. In this district, large group homes are permitted upon approval of a conditional use permit from council. The property consists of approximately a third of an acre located at 271 Riverside Drive and contains a two-story structure with attached garage constructed in 2025. The structure is approximately 3,000 square feet. Miller Home is currently using the property as proposed by the CUP, and to give council some context on how that came about, in September of last year, Miller Home reached out to the zoning division and were advised that the subject property was appropriate for use as a group home for up to 8 children here. Based on that information, Miller Home proceeded with the relocation from their previous facility and completed all of their required Department of Social Services approvals. Upon further review of city code and state code, staff determined that a conditional use permit should be required for a group home for more than 4 children at this location. I just want to emphasize that Miller Home followed the appropriate process. They consulted with staff on the use of this property and were told it was permitted. So Miller Home did not bypass or attempt to circumvent any city process. City staff was incorrect in this case. In January of this year, the Miller Home was notified that a CUP was needed, and very shortly after submitted this petition before you today. Planning staff had recommended conditions regarding this CUP being non-transferable and only applicable to Miller Home specifically. We had that recommendation because of concerns we were hearing from the neighborhood about not necessarily Miller Home itself, but what if the property were sold to another group home organization? So we recommended that it only apply to Miller Home. Last month, the Board of Zoning Appeals heard an unrelated appeal for a group home for up to 8 individuals recovering from substance abuse. The Board of Zoning Appeals, or BZA, ruled that this is considered by right based on the Fair Housing Act. So the condition is still included, but because of that BZA ruling, we could not prevent a protected class group home from locating here or in another single-family home later. At the Planning Commission meeting on February 25th, motions to both approve and deny this petition failed in a tie, and this will return for City Council action on April 14th.
Thank you. Mr. Mitchell?
What's the timeline that we have to City Council can overturn that appeal, correct?
They can appeal to the circuit court, I believe, if you were unhappy with the BZA's
Is there a timeline on when that has to be done?
Yes, sir. It was in 30 days of the decision. It's still time. And we'd sent a correspondence to
Sure.
council saying that if a majority of council so directs to the city attorney, that we can go through the appeals process through the circuit court.
But we've got to put it on an agenda to do that. We can't vote by email to direct staff. So we need to figure out. So my question is, if we've got a 30-day window to do this, when does staff plan on presenting this information to us and providing us our options so that we can appeal it, should we choose to, so we can actually take a vote on it?
And again, we have sent council the information. We've not heard any indication so far from council that they would like it considered one way or the other. So if you,
I mean, I guess that's my question is, for us to act, we have to act in public in a meeting, right? That's what the Freedom of Information Act is very clear about. So what I'm saying is, at what point are we planning on bringing this information inside that window so that City Council can be briefed to make a decision? We can't vote, but we can't vote by email. That's very clear. So that's my question is, what's the plan on bringing this to us, since we're ultimately the ones that have to make this decision, so that we can then cast a vote to direct whatever way we need to go on it?
Well, I guess we can segue into this since it's come up.
Sure.
You know, is there a majority interest that wants to appeal it? Just informally telling me to do it. If there is, certainly what I can do, but as part of any special meeting coming up, or even tonight if we need it, I can put together a resolution, put it on there. If that's what y'all want to do.
I mean, I think that it would behoove us to get an opportunity to actually have question and answer about this. What are the implications of this? What does this mean? Because when I look at that, it tells me that now we're looking at saying that by right, single-family homes throughout the entire city of Lynchburg can be used as group homes for up to 8 recovering individuals. So that's what I see there. There's a significant implication of this for what that's going to mean moving forward for the city of Lynchburg and for the citizens of Lynchburg and for single-family home neighborhoods in Lynchburg. Now, I have an interest in protecting those neighborhoods. Don't have a problem with group homes, don't have a problem with recovery homes. However, I do think that they should come before us or through a zoning process and not be by right anywhere that a single family home is allowed. So my question is, what is the plan from staff to present us all the information, present us the options, present us whatever legal theory there may be, because there's a 30-day window to get this done. And if we don't appeal it, then automatically, and I see the press in the back, you guys need to hear this loud and clear. If we do not do anything about this within 30 days, any single family home in Lynchburg can be a recovery group home for up to 8 people. And there's nothing that can be done about it. If we want to protect our neighborhoods as a body, we need to be considering that. Staff has a responsibility to bring that information forward, and we have to make a decision, but we don't do it by email.
We can have a closed meeting tonight if y'all want to.
I'm good with that.
Mr. Ferrari.
Thank you, Mayor. I think what staff was trying to articulate, and please correct me if I'm wrong, council's been given the options and has been informed. And as opposed to having staff, in my opinion, put their thumb on the scale, they said, council, do you want to act? And did so in writing. So I do see it differently. I would also say, and ask it in the form of a question. So the Fair Housing Act is a federal law. Nothing we do here or even at the state level can trump that. And so when we're talking about protected classes, we're not we can't, it doesn't matter what we write in the ordinance, one way or the other. So I guess what I'm saying is in the form of a question, Matt, sorry for interjecting.
Sorry.
We can't do anything about this anyway right now.
So the issue that came up on the appeal was, and Kent, you might have to correct me on the language, it was the meaning of license versus permit. Okay. And there really wasn't any guidance as it relates to what that is. Now, staff argued it stringently, that it wasn't the language in the statute meant license, but the state would not issue a license. They only issued a permit. Is that right, Ken? A certificate.
Correct.
So that's what we would be appealing to the circuit court, is arguing that there was a distinguishment between license versus certification.
Yeah.
When the state office would not issue a license, they only issue a certificate.
I think that's all well and good. I think we need to look at this issue before us and contemplate what to do before us at the next meeting. If we want to go a different direction and take that holistically, we need to, I see them as different, is what I'm trying to say. Insofar as what's being requested here, the only question I had as pertains to the applicant, the CUP, it got a little bit garbled, not on your part, it's just, it is complicated. There was something I've really liked hearing, which was the CUP is tied to Miller Home. Is that still?
That is still included as a condition, yes.
Okay.
But I wanted to bring up the BZA matter, which is truly separate, but
Yeah.
I wanted to make the clarification that if it is a by right group home, they don't need a CUP.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And that's kind of what I'm driving at is as far as what's before us right now, that I commend you guys for being creative and the team for being willing to go on board with it. I would like to see us explore doing that with other CUPs, just in general, because with all the developments coming up, we have seen some deviation from plans that have been adopted and then what's actually being built. And so I think we need to just be mindful of that in general. But it's insofar as what's presented here right now, I think we need to approve it in 2 weeks and address the other issue separately. And the reason being is, yes, it's within the 30 days, but if council acts and grants the CUP, all the concerns about what's happened on the separate issue is moot. Do I have that correct?
So they're two separate ones. So the issue was whether or not the previous one that got the appeal was by right.
If we grant the CUP,
That
they don't
for
need
this
to.
one, it would be moot.
They don't. Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
They don't need to appeal.
That's correct.
So
On this matter.
when I'm asking legal advice, I'm asking yours only and nobody else's. Thank you, Mayor.
Ms. Reed?
So clarification for the media in the back, just so you heard. The staff did email us and let us know about this. And we did have the opportunity as a council to potentially put it on roll call, and then we could have advanced it further to have a discussion, and then we could have requested more information. So I just wanted clarification. Staff did nothing wrong in this case. They did inform us, and we could have asked for more information, not requiring a vote by email, which is correct. We could not have done that, but we were informed prior to now that this was coming and this had been done. So we were made aware, and then we could have moved it further along. So I think that's our fair point. We can vote on the one thing for the Miller home and separate the two out, correct? Got it. Thank you.
Mr. Deemer?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a point of process, the 30 days has already started, and how far are we into it?
Correct. The decision,
February 24th, yep.
30 days started with the decision from the BZA. Correct.
So we're already
Into
moving well
the
into that.
process. That's
Okay, so our time limit, if we're going to move to another meeting, as was suggested, I'm not sure we could do that. Okay. The second point I wanted to make was I do appreciate the clarification about the long-term implications of this. I wasn't aware of that from what I'd seen before, so I appreciate you bringing that up. I have 2 residences on either side of my home, and them becoming homes may be a wonderful thing for the 8 residents, but the fact that that could happen automatically without any process where the city would be involved or have any control over kind of worries me a little bit. So I hope we do discuss this tonight in closed, would be my hope.
Commissioners?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, just to point out, Rachel, I want to thank you for putting that in the bottom there, because I think that's really, really helpful to see it the way you put it on there and explaining that. We don't have another meeting scheduled right now inside the 30 days. So we either have to make a decision tonight or have a special meeting on what we're going to do with this. And the implications for this decision are huge. If we choose to do nothing, that makes every single family home in Lynchburg, correct me if I'm wrong, by right can be a group home for up to 8 individuals. Is that correct?
No.
What happens if we don't challenge that? I guess is the question.
You want to go, Joe?
So if city council doesn't challenge this particular case would proceed with the decision of the BZA, and they would be considered to have the by right use of the group home under the FHA. Now, if something in the future came up that was similar, staff again could take the same position. You know, it doesn't bind the city forever and always, you know, unless it's related to the exact same circumstances and applicant for the use that was requested. Am I right on that, Ken? Is that what?
Would it have to
Yes.
go to the Board of Zoning Appeals to get there? Is that what the distinction is with this?
That's correct. The appeal was for persons with disabilities and whether or not substance abuse qualifies as a disability. The BZA upheld that it was. What staff has clarified, and Mr. Friedman did a good job of articulating, state code talks about licensure and certificate, but their process does not match what the code said.
Correct.
Staff asked for the clarification on that. The BZA ruled that this was still a protected use under fair housing. If a majority of council disagrees in closed session or by direction to staff, we can appeal that. But obviously, you do not appoint members of the Board of Zoning Appeals. Those are appointed through the court system.
Correct. So I guess the question that I'm asking is what if we do not challenge this. Is there a precedent that this sets? Is there something that this will do that will make it easier moving forward for people to try to say, you know what? I got a single family home. I want to make it a group home. It happened by right. With this decision, is that the precedent moving forward where if people go to the Board of Zoning Appeals, that's what they can expect?
Only as it relates, the state code is explicit only as it relates to persons with disabilities. And the decision made applies to those under treatment for substance abuse. That's what the decision allows.
So the decision would allow any group home of 8 or more of people being
For persons
treated
with
for substance abuse,
or
Up to 8.
up to 8, excuse me, 8 or less, they would be allowed to basically pursue single-family homes in Lynchburg for by right group homes for substance abuse.
That is what state code allows right now. And the BZA's decision includes substance abuse with that. Substance treatment for substance abuse with that.
Interesting. Okay.
Just for clarity point, we had a case a couple of months ago, in reference to a home that operated as a recovery center. Is this the same case or is this a different case?
It was a different case.
And what was the number of persons there? Was that less than 8?
It was less than
I don't know.
8. I'd be afraid to say the number on the record, but it was less than 8. Yes.
I'm trying to make sure I understand the difference between that case and this case.
Yes, sir.
Can you help me out with the similarity of those two cases?
They
Can't
were,
remember what happened.
yes, sir. They were similar in that both allowed treatment for substance abuse. That house has since ceased to operate as for providing treatment for substance abuse. This was a different case, an existing home that was already providing that service. Staff made their decision, said it was in violation of the zoning ordinance. The Board of Zoning Appeals overturned staff's decision.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Wild, Ferrari.
3 quick points. Number 1, I had a client who was looking for a property to be used in this manner. They are more regulated from the state, Mayor, about what they are allowed to do per room than they are per the house. So it's not just like 8, no matter how the size of the home. It's more related per room, and they are very stringent about it. That's point number 1. I think, Kent, you did a fine job articulating it, but I want to just hit the nail on the head so it's very clear. Any operator who would want to use a home for this service right now, it's by right.
Correct. The
Yeah.
distinction the
That's-
BZA made was really, it's okay. Yes. Sir.
Yes.
Yes.
And
So
the reason I want to clarify that is so there's no distinction. We cannot discriminate on a variety of things. This is coming from my industry field. What type of person you're into, your color, religion, age, all sorts of stuff. Whether or not that should be the case or not, hey, if you want to have that debate, I know where I am on it. But the fact of the matter is, the third point is I want to caution this council. I've done it before. When we are talking about, we don't want those people or those businesses. We want to protect neighborhoods. Got to be very careful what you're saying on the record because it can and will be used against you. And when it's you, it's the city. It's not just, Chris Feraldi. It's the city that could be liable for it. So just be very careful with what you say in saying, I don't want this next to my house. And I've said it before, I'll say it again, and I'll close and yield back. Zoning is terrible, in my opinion. And it's because it's used this way. A number of years ago, unfortunately, it was used by race. It was used by sexual orientation, all sorts of fun stuff. Just be careful. That's all I'm trying to say. Thank you, Mayor.
Ms. Reed?
I just want to offer this. People that are in group homes are trying to get better. They're part of a treatment plan. And I just want to remind all of us that when we're describing some of these situations and we're trying to demonize people who are in different forms of rehabilitation. First of all, it's not going to be sex offenders because there's restrictions on sex offenders. So these are people who have had different forms of addiction and they're trying to recover. And statistically, people that have group home treatment have a lot better chance of recovery than others when they're trying to do it by themselves. And these are not homes that are being just run by just a random person that thinks it's a good idea. They're being run by legitimate organizations that know what they're doing. And I understand the idea of people saying, I don't want them in my neighborhood, or I'm trying to protect our citizens. Well, do you know how many people have addicts in their families? A lot. So there's validity for saying, hey, we need to be looking out for each other, but there's obviously a state code that we cannot control, right? So the state supersedes anything we do here in a locality. But I also think we need to be very careful and being sensitive to the fact that there are people that are struggling that we should be sensitive to. There is a structure to these programs that we need to be supportive of. And people that are trying to get better are trying to get better. So I just want us to consider all those things while we're still trying to do what's safest for our neighborhoods and families, and consider them. We also have to consider the people that live and work amongst us that might be struggling privately with addiction, and consider that.
Thank you. Anyone wants to mention?
Mr. Mayor. Couple things. One is, I don't think anybody's trying to demonize anything. Just want to make that clear. What I would like to understand is, what are other localities doing in this situation? Is there something, what is different about, I guess, our zoning ordinance, or what is different about other localities' zoning ordinances where this is related? Again, I'm just very curious about what the impacts could be if we don't appeal it. That's what I would like to know. What precedent does that create? And that's it. And I think that when we have a window like this, 30 days to do something, when we have to make that decision, that's something that should be brought to us, and it should be put on the agenda so that we can decide whether or not we're going to act. That's all I got. Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you, Ms. Rachel.
Thank you.
Next item on our agenda, refund and opportunity for the 2016 bond issue.
Oh, no, I was going to introduce. So with me today, I have Courtney Rogers. He's the Senior Vice President of Davenport and Company. They're our financial advisors that we have worked closely with for many years. And we also have Stephen Geiswit here with us today, helping out.
Great. Thank you, Donna. Stephen's the brains behind the operation, so I'm
Yes.
just delivering the message. Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, great, council members, great to see you all. I know some of you, I think I'm new to, but my firm, Davenport and Company, and my partner, David Rose, and I have had the pleasure of working for the city for over 2 decades. I think maybe going on 25 years now. And during that time, we do lots of different things, financial in nature. We do a lot of capital planning, debt related, taking you through the debt markets. And so that's part of what we're going to talk about today. Some of you may be familiar with we termed it the just-in-time financing. I'm going to talk a little bit about that today. And it's time, because that is coming due this summer. It's time to permanently finance what we put in place in 2023. So the city has drawn about around, let's say, $57 million since we did this 3 years ago. 22 million of that is allocable to tax-supported debt. So that would be for general government and school projects. The balance, about 35 million for the utility side, so water, wastewater, and stormwater. And so One of the things that this program has done has been able to save interest costs for the city. And it's allowed, there was a time where we would go out and borrow a sum of money for projects that were going to be put in place over the next couple of years. But then those projects drug on or didn't get done. And so that money sat in the bank. And yes, it earned interest, but most of the time it earned interest at rates lower than what we had borrowed. So you were basically spending money on things that weren't really getting done. And so we came up with this idea several years ago to basically go out and do term it like a line of credit. Basically, you're only paying interest on what's being used, and then we term it out and start paying the principal back. And that's what we're doing here today. Because there's a gap between permanently financing and then setting up this new line, there's about I'll call it $11 million of new money for fleet purchases and some other things that need to be taken care of immediately before we have time to go out and set up this next just-in-time financing. On page 2, this kind of outlines the just-in-time financing approach. I talked a little bit about that. Essentially, it's an interim credit facility. We typically ask for 3 to 5 years. Last couple of years, last couple of rounds, I guess it's been 3 years has been the interest rate that's worked the best for us. So that's why we've done, that's why it was done on a 3-year basis. And again, if a project is delayed or canceled, it basically means you haven't gone out and borrowed money that's just going to be sitting in the bank trying to figure out how to reallocate that to some other projects. So it has, I think, paid dividends for the city over this period. I thought if you would turn with me over to page 4, it might be good to give you a couple of minutes on the market, what's going on out in the marketplace. I like to start with the Federal Open Market Committee operations, kind of this chart here on page 4. You hear in the press that the Fed may or may not lower rates. Well, really what they mean is the overnight rate that banks borrow money at. So it really only affects a few years. It doesn't affect the entire yield curve going out to year 20 or 30, like we'll be borrowing for the tax supported in 30 years on the utility side. So just because those rates are coming down doesn't necessarily mean rates are coming down. And on page 5, you can see going back to January of 25, these are in our market, there's a company that follows the AAA tax exempt rates. And then basically, like our yields our interest rates are going to be based on our credit rating, which is a AA2, AA+, AA+. So it would trade a little bit lower or a little higher, excuse me, than these AAA tax exempt rates, but not by much right now. And what you'll see on this yield curve here, going back from January 25, it shows the 1 year at the very bottom all the way out to the 30 year. And you can see what's happened is over this period of time, rates have basically widened a little bit. And you'll see that in a moment when I show you the yield curve from last year versus where we are now. This is the 20-year rate itself. So where are rates out in year 20? And what you'll see on the left-hand side is that, you know, going back to back when we first started working with the city, rates were at 6%. They've been coming down. We hit these crazy low rates during right before COVID and during COVID. Those yields have come back up to what I'll call kind of that 2015 range, give or take. And you'll see on the right-hand side that really what's happened going back again to January for just that 20-year rate, it's traded in a fairly narrow range, started in the high 3s, went up into the mid 4s, and has come back down here in the last 6 or 8 months into the in the high 3s again. Page 7 gives you that yield curve going from year 1 to year 30 in terms of interest rates. The purple line is where we are today, the blue line a year ago. And what you see is that as the Fed lowered those rates, that front end of the yield curve has come down. But because of what's going on in the economy, the long end of the yield curve has actually gone up. So in general, because it's a weighted average of roughly for 20 years, it's going to be around 12 years. For 30 years, it's going to be around 15 or 16. Interest rates are a little bit higher than they were a year ago when we go to market, or assuming things don't change dramatically over the next several weeks. So the way we've done our bond sales when we are permanently financing something that is longer, like 20 years, the banks right now don't they've been stingy on giving a fixed rate when we've asked for a 20-year fixed rate. And when those rates have been given to us, when we've asked for them, they're usually higher than what we see in the public market, going out and offering these bonds in a public market environment, especially the size that we're talking about. So we're recommending going out and doing a public sale and doing it competitively. Basically, we will put it out on a date and time certain. We will have our interest rate, our bond ratings in hand, and we will ask for the lowest bid, essentially. And it's all done electronically. And so that's our plan. We will need to go and get ratings updated for this particular bond issue, hoping that we will still be in that AA2, AA+ range. You are going to have before you tonight a preliminary official statement that's been prepared by bond counsel. It's basically the offering document that will be put out to the potential bidders. They're looking at you, reading up, understanding what's going on financially with the city and economically. So basically, that's the day we'll be locking in those rates, and we're right now on the schedule have that as April 21st. To give you a sense of what does that mean, what is that going to mean to you in terms of budgeting, look on page 10. On the left-hand side, it shows the principal interest in total for the existing debt that we have out there. This is just the tax-supported portion. We'll talk about utilities in a moment. This is schools and general government. So about $155 million of principal outstanding. That's in that first column. We're projecting about $31 million right now is our size. You'll see that added in the middle, and then you'll see at the end of the day will be around $186 million in terms of total principal over the next several years. Graphically on page 11, if there's good news, the one good thing is that based on where your budget is now, your FY26 debt service, the dark is the existing debt, the light green is the new debt. For 2027, you'll see that it's a little bit above the 26 budget, but after that, it actually drops down. So you'll need a little bit of extra dollars in 27, but after that, you won't need additional dollars to take on this new debt. There are two guidelines that we use I'll call them credit card limits that we like to look at. These are policies that were put in place many years ago and have served the city well in keeping our bond ratings up. And the first one is outstanding debt divided by the total assessed value. That's real and personal property of the city. 4% or 4.5%, excuse me, has been our policy. We're just at 2% with this new debt, so we're in great shape with that policy. The second policy is the debt service to expenditures. Think of it as the amount of debt you're paying in any given year divided by your budget. So how much of your budget are you using to pay debt? And so 10% has been our guideline for several years. We're just a shade over 6%, and you'll see that comes down pretty quickly thereafter. So in great shape on both of those. Utilities, just to give you a sense, the existing debt here is $187 million, $188 million there. We're projected to be around $37 million for our new debt. That'll put you at about $225 million. Typically with utility projects, because they have longer lived assets, it's 30 years. And so you'll see that's the way this debt is structured for these projects. Page 15, again, graphically shows you. You'll see that in this case, the projected debt service does go above the 26 debt service, but that's part of what your utilities department does is every year they are doing modeling and noting what they've got coming up in terms of capital projects. Utilities are by nature capital intensive. There's always things that are breaking or need to be replaced so that that the system can provide good clean water and treat water before it goes back into the river. We do have potential for some refinancing, and so it's not huge, but it is something that we like to keep our eyes on. If we can save a penny here or there, we want to try to do that. The city has a policy of 3% net present value savings. Now, what that means is that once you take into account all cost of issuance, when you compare the old issue and the new issue, it needs to produce at least 3% net present value. Where does that number come from? It's an industry standard. Many years ago, when I started in my career in the early 90s, the state actually had a local government commission that you had to take every refunding to get it approved. And they rubber stamped everything at 3%. So at least in Virginia, that became the norm as long as you're meeting that guideline. Once that committee was disbanded, that's what we've used traditionally as our guideline. And so these are bonds that were done back in 2016. We can refinance them now, saving around a little over $800,000 based on our current projections. And so we've asked for more maturities. This only shows what we think can actually work right now. We asked for more in case the market were to drop for some reason between now and April 21st, and we can add more and increase the savings. Great. We're not expecting that right now, especially in knowing what's going on worldwide right now. Doubt rates are going to go down at the moment. Not drastically anyway. Just so you kind of can see where those savings are allocated, there are some water and wastewater as well as airport and fleet, and then you've got the general amount. So the majority of the savings do happen to fall in the water and wastewater, and then secondarily in the general fund side. So next steps, tonight you will have in front of you resolution as well as draft forms of the documents to be approved. With your approval, we will move forward. We have rating meetings set up at the end of the month on the 30th and 31st to meet in person with the rating agencies so that we can tell our story and work toward keeping our ratings the same. We, as I mentioned, 21st of April, looking at a bond sale, and then we'll be closing thereafter. And then on the heels of that, we'll also be coming back to you and starting to put together the schedule and come back to you for the just-in-time borrowing to be set up for the next round of capital projects. So with that, Mr. Mayor, happy to answer any questions.
Any discussion? Mr. Ferrari.
If we don't approve this, what happens?
If you don't approve that, you're going to have $57 million of interim financing that will come due this summer that will need to be paid off. I don't know whether you've got 57 million sitting in the bank to pay it off.
So can I say that back to you and make sure I understand that?
Yes, sir.
So we would have to pay a $57 million note in 4 months.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Deemer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for the presentation.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it. The only question I've got is what is the actual net present value savings?
What is it?
Yeah, I mean, I understand that
Yep.
3% is a goal, I
Yep.
think, that we've set. I'm guessing it's somewhere between 3 and 10%, but I would like to
Oh,
actually
what is it? I'm sorry. Okay, I understand your question.
calculation.
In the bottom left-hand corner, you'll see a summary of the results.
Page is it?
On page 17,
Okay.
the net present value savings is $466,000. You see the box on the
Yep,
left-hand
That's
side.
exactly what I was looking for.
Yep, yes, sir. And then the net present value currently as the market, as we ran it last, it was at 3.22%. So just a shade above 3% based on this 14.47 million that we're looking at maturities, which basically go from 2030 to 2036.
Thank you.
Sure.
Mr. Mission.
Mr. Mayor, and just to be clear on page 18, which is the next page,
Yes, sir.
that's marching out our debt service savings by fund with the.
Correct. Part of
with the
what we
refinancing,
do,
essentially?
yes, sir. Part of what we do, once the bond, we sell the bonds all at once, but part of what Davenport does is we break it out and then hand it to finance so that they can, as they do their accounting side, and make sure it's in the right funds. And so once, if we're successful with the refinancing, we'll come back to them with updated debt service schedules that be allocated by fund for budget purposes.
Sure. And then so this is kind of like an estimate. What
Yes,
you
sir.
guys anticipate
Currently-
you're going to
current
be able to
estimate
do.
based on current rates. Yes,
So
sir.
if you met the estimate, then this is what we could look at in savings for debt service
Yes, sir.
for the proposed budget.
By year. Correct.
Got it. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Council, we have bond counsel and they write these resolutions. They keep me straight on what is GO bonds eligible, what's taxable eligible, all those things. Can't do life without her. We have to pay for the bond ratings that we go get. So we have to pay a fee to Moody's and Standard & Poor's and to Fitch. We pay our financial advisors, which we have a contract. It's based on a percentage that we actually sell. And then, of course, for the official statement preparation, the QSIPs, the postage, and then there is a chunk in there for miscellaneous that is carte blanche. This is a huge estimate. So if we really take out a lot of the estimates, we're probably looking at 475 if everything works. What Courtney didn't say is on the 21st, if rates actually go up and the refunding doesn't work to get that 3% value, we won't do it. Now, hopefully it's going to go down and we'll get to do a larger refinancing. But the estimate of these fees covers as if everything eligible for refunding would work. So that's why these are very big estimates, but what you're really giving us authority to do is up to $600,000, and that is across all funds. So water, sewer, stormwater pays, the refunding piece, part of that was for airport, general funds, schools, capital. So all of that's included in this one estimate, but we can't permanently finance the bonds unless we pay the issuance costs.
And those are actually included in our estimates that you saw in the presentation I just gave in terms of, because what local governments do is they borrow for that as part of the, just like you would in a house when you're borrowing costs, it's built in there.
Yeah.
And I think, was it 450 was the number if we don't do the refunding at all? So if the refunding went away, as Donna said, if rates were to go up a little bit and it didn't make sense, then you're looking around 450 is a realistic cost there. And the miscellaneous is there in case there's something we don't think about that pops up, but usually it's not used.
Sir, Mr. Mitchell.
Mr. Mayor, and what you're talking about is the number 4 agenda item that's got
That's correct.
the summary.
The issuance costs.
The issuance costs, FY 2026 estimates, and then a separate resolution. So we're looking at, it's two different resolutions. It's the refunding resolution, and then it's the issuance cost resolution.
Right.
Right.
So
Okay.
tonight, I'll be asking you to vote on the issuance cost and also the potential refunding. So
Got it.
that does take a separate resolution. A resolution is not required for a vote for the permanent financing piece for the line of credit. When the line of credit is established, the way that resolution that you pass to do that also includes finalizing that debt. So that doesn't take a separate vote, but we do need a vote on the resolution attached for the potential refunding. And then also a separate vote for the issuance cost.
I guess they need money too.
Mm-mm. No, because
Because
it's
that's in
within the
COP.
same.
Any more discussion? Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Next item, work session. Airport DCA briefing, Mr. Cedric.
All right. Down. Yep. All right. Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Vice Mayor, members of council. Today I'm here to provide an update on the DC-8 overlook at Lynchburg Regional Airport. In the audience today, we have Mr. Craig, Governmental Affairs, and Mr. Brindley, Dean of Aeronautics, Dean of the School of Aeronautics, both with Liberty University. So they're here also in support of this update. As you recall, in December, Samaritan's Purse brought their DC-8 to Lynchburg, where it became possession of Liberty University. The DC-8 aircraft was manufactured in 1968 and got to fly a whole career with the airlines before being acquired by Samaritan's Purse. They had it for 10 years, 2015 to 2025. The aircraft, while in the service of Samaritan's Purse, flew over 200 international relief missions to over 36 countries. So it was something that did a lot of relief all around the world. And presently, we're looking for a permanent home for the DC-8. So staff has been engaged with Liberty University staff in finding a permanent home in the Hill City for the aircraft. We do have 2 potential sites at the airport. We're looking at one a little bit closer than the other one. They have to be evaluated by the FAA, state, and local authorities as appropriate for that site. Potential space for the aircraft could become a focal point for the community, showcasing aviation activities, and it could also be a source of aviation for future aviators. It's my opinion that if we finalize this and get this here at Lynchburg, I think it's going to be one of the coolest, most exciting aviation features in the Commonwealth of Virginia. It'll be something that aviators, people interested in aviation, they're going to want to come to Lynchburg to see this and interact with this. So kind of what's next? I'm here really just to brief what is next. Presently, our staff is finalizing a lease agreement, lease documents, and we're going to be sharing those with Liberty. So staff from each side will be negotiating a lease. Once we get the lease walked through, it'll go to my commission, and again, we will bring it forward to council. Working through the lease at this point indicates our intent to move forward. I have some pre-qualified engineering firms out at the airport, and I have one of those under task right now to help me with some of the FAA approvals. So hopefully they'll help move that one forward, and the environmental reviews that will come with this project. Anything at the airport requires review at the federal level before getting to state and local levels, and it does take a little bit. The FAA has been a little bit short-staffed lately, so reviews are taking a little while. In closing, we're really excited about the potential private-public partnership and the possibility for hosting a piece of aviation history at Lynchburg Regional Airport. At this time, I'm happy to make any clarifications if you all need them.
All that just word department.
There's a lot that's going to go into it.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Mr. Wild.
Thank you. Appreciate it. It's a great opportunity for our community, so I'm looking forward to the final product, especially with aviation and the need for that for our students and our community. It's an amazing field, so I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you, Mr. Secretary.
Thank you.
Item number 6, Vice Mayor Deemer, VMI resolution support. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm not going to take a lot of time on this. I am grateful to see that the legislation concerning VMI has been moderated from its early form. That's a positive step, I think, for the Commonwealth. At the same time, I do remain concerned about the preserving the school's independence and traditions and mission. So VMI has produced many outstanding leaders in the Lynchburg community. A lot of alumni are here, and I'm thinking about them. And I also believe that any further attempts to interfere with the governance and character of the school should be approached with great caution, because we have future students who are considering VMI as an option where they might want to attend school, and I want them to have all the options available to them, including the great school of VMI. So I appreciate my colleagues' support for this resolution.
Thank you. Roll call. Mr. Ferrari.
Thank you. I'll have 2 items coming up at the next meeting for review. They are noted on the agenda. A couple things to note. I believe Heritage High School celebrated a big W with track at the state championships. So I want to congratulate their team. If I have that wrong, I'm sure I'll be corrected, but I think I have it right. It's interesting the timing of this with our agenda item number 2 on our bibs. I'm probably going to get dinged for this, but I promised I would ask. So we have our rule in the city about no more than 3 unrelated people can live together in a domicile. And more and more people have reached out to me asking, could we take a look at that? I want to state very clearly for those watching at home and up here, all parties involved. Look, I am not sure one way or the other how I would vote on something that hasn't even been drafted yet. But this has become something that I've received more and more messages about and it is related to the housing situation we're in right now. I hate calling it a crisis, but in ways it is. And so if there's a way we can reevaluate what the intent behind that policy is, I would be very interested in that. And then also if the policy we have on the books is actually addressing that intent, and if there's any revisions we can do to that without damaging, again, the intent. It's my understanding the intent is or was to prevent, 10, 12 kids piled into a big house. We don't really want that. I get that. That's not going to be the best use of that house. However, if you've got 4 bedrooms and you can have 1 in each, just because of the one rule of no more than 3, you can see where I'm going with this. So I've had a number of people reach out. I'd like to explore what that looks like. And to the folks who've been messaging me and saying, will you please at least bring it up? I can check that box. Finally, I will share, colleagues, this is really hard. I was trying to figure out how to engage it. I've been encouraged to handle a lot of the stuff, the nonsense that we have put ourselves through privately. And so I tried, and yet I don't think it did any good. So I then saw that my request on what I'm about to share was then shared publicly, that I asked someone to apologize. And so since it was then brought public, I feel compelled to address it. Mayor, I do not believe it is appropriate for our vice mayor to use rape or murder as political analogies. I asked him in writing to apologize. He said he would not and would double down and triple down. And so since the vice mayor stated publicly that I asked him to apologize, I wanted to be made very forthright what I said, and that those emails are available on my website. Thank you.
Just to respond, since that was mentioned.
Ms. Roll call. You do it with your roll call.
Okay.
Ms. Reed?
Thank you, Mayor. So I thought it would be good to start talking about local issues and our local people, because that's what local government should be doing. And I had gone on my Councilwoman Facebook page and asked for some citizens to nominate some local citizens for random acts of kindness, and I got some responses. So Dorothy Civitillo was nominated as our Citizen of the Week. Dorothy was nominated by Michelle DeHaven for giving random acts of sourdough around the city. Dorothy delivers sourdough to people all over the city who are having a hard time. And Michelle said that she is a light in the darkness and she truly blesses people. So Dorothy, wherever you are, we appreciate you being an act of sourdough and giving random acts of kindness to our citizens when they're in need. And anybody that wants to nominate another Citizen of the Week, please contact me because we appreciate you. We also have a Student of the Week from Perrymont Elementary. First grader Desire Wood from Mrs. Elliott's class received the Star Student Award. For all of these things, she got Pride Award, respect, integrity, discipline, and effort. That is a huge award. So congratulations to Desire Wood from Mrs. Elliott's class from Perrymont Elementary. We're so proud of you. Keep up the good work. And lastly, a huge congratulations to the Sandusky Middle School girls basketball team for winning the city and district championships. Whoop, whoop. Mayor, undefeated. So Mayor, I would like to see if we could get it on the agenda to bring them to council one night to be recognized, if that would be possible. So good job to our citizen, student, and team of the week.
Yes.
That's all. Thank you.
Dr. Wilder?
Thank you. was out last Friday at the March Madness at the Armory. It's every Friday of the month of March from 5:30 to 8 o'clock. So thank you for the city staff and all those person volunteers putting that together. It was an amazing time period. Also want to make mention of the homegoing service for Jesse Jackson on this past Saturday. We had one in Lynchburg about 2 weeks ago. So thank you for the community leaders for recognizing him locally for the great work that he did in our country. And we did lose a great citizen here in Lynchburg, Deborah Marshall. She's been working with the White Rock Project, the White Rock Community Center, and I think she passed on Sunday, I believe. So we do waiting for the announcements to come out. Her and her family have been really instrumental in the White Rock area, especially with the White Rock Community Center and White Rock Church. So we're really thankful for her contributions. I worked with her about 20, 30 years ago, getting kids to the CBCC, but she worked at CBCC. She helped me with the registration, that portion there. So we appreciate all her work she did in our community over the past 30 plus years. Thank you.
Mr. Mentions?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A couple things. One is I heard what Councilmember Feraldi said about the zoning ordinance with 300 related people. I think that's actually a great thing for us to take a look at. I'm curious also, how is that compared with a short-term rental ordinance? Because they probably should jive. So like if our short-term rental is a different number than that, then maybe we should take a look at that. I think that's a piece of information to factor into that. And then also dovetailing on what Councilmember Reed said, I think, Mr. Mayor, we should also get the Lady Pioneers track and field team in here as well to recognize them for their championship. They've been phenomenal, and they also need to be recognized for that. Excellent. And the final thing that I've got is, recently we reaffirmed the 2A sanctuary resolution, and there has been some bills that have hit the governor's desk that are just really going to negatively impact our citizens. One in particular that is just horrible would actually make you a criminal for taking an unloaded AR-15 rifle to the range, leaving your house with it. So it basically creates a situation where citizens that are law-abiding citizens owning firearms wouldn't be able to take it to the range without committing a crime. And the governor has not signed that yet. I hope she doesn't. But I'm introducing this as a roll call item to do a presentation in our work session. And our next meeting would be to look at potentially authorizing special counsel to evaluate and pursue litigation, limiting the ability for that to be enforced in the city of Lynchburg. So I'll get with the city attorney on that, and we'll work on that. But I think that that's something we can take a look at. I think that in the spirit of our Second Amendment sanctuary resolution, we need to look at all the angles that we can take, all the levers we can pull as local government to defend the rights of our citizens. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Deemer?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a quick response to, since I was personally named. I absolutely don't intend to offend anybody. If I have, I would encourage them to come to me. Personally, I'm very available, open, and transparent. So to date, nobody has approached me about them having a specific concern about the word I chose to use. And it may not have been the best word in retrospect, because it implies one victim. And in reality, this election and this referendum and the disenfranchisement of almost 80% of the Republican Party voters in our state, that's not just one victim, that's almost genocide. So maybe that's not.
You are absolutely disgusting. You're disgusting. Why haven't you addressed it, Mayor?
Can I continue?
You owe us an apology for all the.
All right.
Disgusting.
Don't do that. Finish.
Okay. Yeah, I would have been finished by now. But if somebody does have a problem with me, I would be happy to discuss it. I'm certainly not out to offend anybody. I've been accused of raping the environment my whole life, and I never once considered that was somehow sexual. Everybody's jumped to the conclusion here that what I said was. Certainly wasn't meant to be. This is about an election. It's about what the Democratic Party is doing. And I was pretty clear about that, I thought. So if somebody took offense to it, come see me. Matthew 18 still is a good principle among believers. And I absolutely believe that if I've offended somebody, I hope they would follow Matthew 18 and come talk to me about it. That was not intended. This is my actual roll call. Before we move forward today, I want to address issues related to the recent correspondence between the city manager, and I'm sorry he's not here, and the members of council. First,
You're an absolute fraud.
You need to
I won't dignify this with anything. We're gonna go into closed session to talk about him. That's what we should do.
Okay,
I won't
Chris.
dignify this with sitting here listening to bull crap.
Okay, Chris.
Mayor, if we're about to delve into personnel matters,
I would highly,
it's not a personnel matter.
This is roll call and the vice mayor.
I can choose whatever I want to talk about. It's not a personnel matter.
What is it?
I guess you're gonna have to listen to me to find out. I'd like to continue without interruption, if I can.
Really appreciate his First Amendment rights to be respected, Mr. Mayor.
You don't have anything to do with this. This is the vice mayor's thing.
Would appreciate his First Amendment rights to be respected, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Attorney, what was you saying?
so I'd be very, very, I don't know what the vice mayor is going to
Point of order.
say.
No, it's no.
I have a point of order. This is roll call. The vice mayor has the floor.
I asked the
I understand.
attorney. I asked the attorney for something.
Just issuing a point of order, Mr.
You're
Mayor.
not the mayor.
Didn't say I was the mayor.
I
I'm-
decide
I'm
whether a
issuing
point
a
of
point of
order is good or not. I decide that.
Okay, well, I'm
Okay.
asking you to rule on the
Thank
point of
you.
order, whether or
Yes,
not
I
the
did.
vice mayor has the floor.
I was talking to the city attorney and I ruled. He still have the floor, but the city attorney had something to say and I want to hear him.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
So Mayor, I'm not certain what the vice mayor is going to say, but if it has to do with personnel matters, concerns with the performance of an appointee or other staff members, particularly those that may answer to city council, I would highly, highly recommend that it be taken up in a closed meeting versus mentioned publicly or requests or whatever for council.
Now,
Thank you.
do this have anything to do with personnel?
Mr. Mayor,
Do this have anything to do
this
with
has to
personnel?
do with the request for an agenda item that is public knowledge. It's a public correspondence that has been part of the public discussion for several weeks.
Anything,
So there's
anything
nothing
to
here
do, anything
that
to do
is-
with
that is
personnel,
new
we will
or-
go, we will have closed session and we will discuss it then. But
Well,
until then, it's
I
off the
understand
table.
people want to limit me before they've
No,
even
no.
heard what I've had to say, but I'm going to have my say.
This is censorship.
I'm going to have my say. And I'm fully aware of the legal opinion about something. He doesn't even know what I'm going to say, and he's given an opinion on it. That's an interesting position.
Just
But
offer it to me.
I just want to finish what I'm saying. I heard it.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, this is part of public discussion. It's been going on for weeks. So that there's nothing that should be hidden in a closed smoky back room, Matt. First, I want to be clear about my purpose. My goal is not to escalate conflict or make accusations today. And I'm glad, Mr. City Attorney, to see you back. This is important. My goal is to ensure that City Council has the information it needs to properly perform its oversight responsibilities. Over the past several weeks, there have been two important documents circulated to council and to the public. The February 24th letter from the city manager responding to the allegations raised by Councilman Misjuns, and Councilman Misjuns' subsequent rebuttal letter responding directly to that explanation. Both of these documents are now part of the public discussion surrounding these issues. Councilmember Misjuns' rebuttal raises specific follow-up questions and challenges several of the explanations that the city manager provided. These rebuttals deserve a clear response and, most importantly, supporting documentation so that the council and the public can evaluate the facts for themselves. At this point in the discussion, it is also important to note what is actually in the public record before city council so that the citizens can.
Place exactly what was just brought up and what you said shouldn't be talked about. So I would like you to recess and we'll bring this up in closed session.
Councilman Misjuns has provided
Point of order.
documentation and materials.
Okay.
This has to do with personnel matters.
You are getting into personnel matters. You are.
I have not mentioned any personnel matters.
You're talking about what, a letter that was given to.
Public knowledge letters that are already out in domain.
Given
and
to the
they're-
city
Yes, they've already
manager.
been discussed.
And now you want to discuss
They're
that.
out in the public
And
already, so there's no reason to
The
push
city,
it to go
the
back
city
to work.
manager had conversation with Mr. Missions about this.
Actually,
Now-
no, he did
now-
not, Mr. Mayor. That is a bold-faced lie.
Point of order.
That is a
This
bold-faced
is not to
lie.
be discussed
The
here.
city
Let's go to
manager has not
recess.
answered any of the questions in
Call
my
a
rebuttal
recess.
letter, Mr. Mayor.
Attempts to
Mr.
silence
Zero.
me willfully.
And you are willfully trying to
I will
violate
make
the
this
First
available
Amendment
on
rights
my
of
website.
elected officials
Well,
right now, and you should be
gonna-
ashamed
You
of it,
need to be
Mr. Mayor.
quiet.
If I can't read it.
That's
you're
what you always
silencing me,
want, Mr. Mayor.
Call a recess.
You need to be
and I
quiet,
need to be heard.
or else I'm meeting adjourned.
I guess we'll see you guys in April.